Why do you tremble at the sight of fear? Why do you shrink when life tests you? Is it because you believe discomfort is a curse? Let me tell you something the world hides from you. Everything you want lies on the other side of what you fear, not beyond it, through it. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't run from discomfort, they invited it in, not because they were unbreakable, but because they chose to be. Fear is not the enemy your avoidance is. You were not born with fear. You were taught to fear, conditioned to retreat, conditioned to believe that failure is fatal, that rejection defines your worth, that discomfort is to be avoided at all costs. But none of these beliefs are true. They are illusions crafted by a soft and fragile society. The Stoics knew better. They knew that fear itself cannot harm you. It's what you do in the presence of fear that determines your destiny. When you avoid fear, you feed it. When you run from difficulty, it grows teeth. Avoidance is a signal to your mind that the thing you fear is bigger than you, more powerful than your spirit. But the Stoic rewires this belief. He walks toward what terrifies him, not because he is fearless, but because he refuses to bow to something unworthy of his surrender. The moment you stop avoiding fear, you strip it of its strength. The fear of public speaking, the fear of failure, the fear of being alone, these fears dissolve under direct pressure. They scream and howl until you walk right through them, and then they vanish. The only true enemy is your hesitation. It is not fear that traps you, it is the story you tell yourself about it. Marcus Aurelius did not command empires by hiding from what scared him. He stared it in the eye. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This truth alone is liberation. The situation isn't the problem. Your perception of it is, and that perception can be bent, shaped, forged like iron in the fires of reason. Fear is a messenger. It's not here to paralyze you, it's here to point, to direct, to show you exactly where your next level lies. If something makes your heart race, your breath tighten, your hands sweat, that's the signal. That's the thing you must lean into. Fear isn't there to be avoided. It's there to be studied, challenged, and conquered. We live in a world obsessed with comfort, but comfort is the drug that dulls the warrior's edge. A Stoic doesn't seek safety. He seeks truth, and truth is always uncomfortable. It's often painful. It doesn't flatter your ego, but it will set you free. You want freedom. It lives on the other side of what you're scared to do. You cannot negotiate with fear. It is not a rational enemy. You cannot wait for it to leave on its own, it won't. It grows with your silence. It thrives in your hesitation. The Stoic understands this. He acts in spite of fear. He walks into the arena not because he is ready, but because retreat is not an option for the man who wishes to live fully. Avoidance gives your fear immortality. Every time you turn away, you tell your nervous system, "This is dangerous. This is bigger than me." But it's a lie. You are the mountain, not the storm. The danger is not out there, it's within, and that means you control it. Control your breath, your actions, your frame, and watch fear wither like smoke in the wind. When you face fear head on, you realize something radical. You survive. Not only that, you expand. You stretch into a new self, one that isn't chained to anxiety, approval, or avoidance. You meet a version of yourself that isn't governed by fear, but by values, by reason, by strength. That is Stoicism in motion. So today, stop asking how to eliminate fear. Start asking what your fear is trying to teach you. What growth lies behind that locked door? And then pick up the key. Stop retreating. Stop rationalizing. Step forward. Because fear is not your enemy. It's your training ground. And avoidance is not safety. It's slow decay. Discomfort is a weapon. Use it. The modern world has taught you to run from discomfort, to seek warmth, softness, convenience, and instant relief. But the Stoics saw things differently. They saw comfort not as a reward, but as a sedative, a drug that numbs the soul. Discomfort was their battleground. They entered it willingly because they knew it revealed who they truly were. In hardship, the mask falls away. The real self stands exposed, and that is where power begins. Growth demands friction. A sword is sharpened only when scraped against the stone. A muscle strengthens only when torn, and the mind is no different. It becomes disciplined, focused, and unshakable only when tested in the fires of resistance. Do not wish for a smoother path. Wish instead for stronger legs. The Stoic does not say, "I hope life is kind." He says, "I hope I am strong enough for whatever life brings." When the world softens you, you lose your edge. You stop striving. You forget how to endure. But discomfort rekindles the warrior inside you. That early morning cold, that rejection, that delayed gratification, these are not setbacks. They are sharpening stones. They carve away weakness, revealing something deeper beneath. Your will, your resilience, your self-command. Seneca taught that the wise man embraces hardship before it arrives. Not because he is pessimistic, but because he is prepared. Voluntary discomfort is a Stoic discipline. It's eating less than you want. It's walking instead of riding. It's choosing silence over reaction. You practice hardship now so you aren't destroyed by it later. You don't wait for adversity to strike, you meet it at the gate. Every time you willingly step into discomfort, you rewrite your identity. You tell yourself, "I am not fragile. I can handle more than I thought." And slowly, you build an internal confidence that no comfort could ever give you. Confidence built not on outcomes, but on exposure. Not on ease, but on endurance. The more you lean into discomfort, the less power it holds over you. There is no strength without struggle. There is no mastery without failure. To become formidable, you must be willing to look discomfort in the eye and say, "Let's go." Not because you enjoy pain, but because you value growth. You understand that greatness demands a price, and you are willing to pay it daily, without complaint, without compromise. The weak avoid discomfort and call it self-care. The strong walk into it and call it training. The Stoic uses every difficulty as a tool. A brutal lesson, yes, but also a sacred opportunity. Opportunity to grow harder, wiser, and more grounded. Do not curse the challenge. Give thanks for it is chiseling you into something rare. When your instincts scream for comfort, pause, breathe, choose the harder path. Take the cold shower, speak the truth, walk into the fear. Each time you do, you train your body and mind to obey you, not the other way around. That is the essence of Stoic strength, the ability to command yourself, especially when every part of you begs for retreat. Life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be meaningful, and meaning is found in struggle, in pushing against the current, in resisting what is easy and doing what is right. The Stoic walks the uphill path not because he must, but because it is the only path that leads upward. The only path that leads to inner peace. So sharpen your edge, stop hiding from the grind, stop begging for comfort, and start building your capacity for fire. Every ounce of discomfort you endure today becomes the armor you wear tomorrow. It is not punishment, it is preparation, and if you wield it well, discomfort becomes your greatest weapon. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. Most people misunderstand courage. They think it's something you feel, a warm surge of bravery before a big moment, but the Stoic knows better. Courage is not a feeling, it's a choice. It's what you do when your heart races, your hands tremble, your voice shakes, and you move forward anyway. Courage is not born from fearlessness. It is born from the willingness to walk beside fear without bowing to it. The brave are not those who feel nothing. They are those who feel it all, the fear, the doubt, the uncertainty, and act with resolve. If you wait to feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is a lie. Comfort tells you to keep you still. The Stoic understands that clarity comes from movement. Confidence comes from taking the step, not before it. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." And fear is just that, a judgment, a perception, a thought that says, "This could go wrong." But courage interrupts that thought with action. It says, "Even if it goes wrong, I will survive, I will adapt, I will overcome." The Stoic does not demand guarantees. He demands only one thing from himself: action. Every act of courage rewires your brain. It teaches your nervous system that you are not a victim, you are not fragile, you are not meant to shrink in the face of difficulty, you are meant to stand tall, breathe deep, and do what is required. The more you act in the face of fear, the less control fear has over you, and the less control fear has over you, the freer you become. Courage is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It is often silent, internal, a quiet force that steadies your hand when everything inside you wants to run. It's choosing discipline over impulse, truth over comfort, principles over popularity. These are the daily acts of courage that forge character, not grand gestures, but consistent strength in the face of resistance. To be courageous is to commit, to burn the ships, to remove escape as an option and move forward as if the future depends on it, because it does. Your future self is built on the back of every brave decision you make today. The more courage you express now, the stronger your future becomes. Not safer, but stronger, because real strength never needed safety. The Stoics remind us that fear points to the thing worth doing. That fear is not a wall, it's a compass. The greater the fear, the greater the opportunity for growth. And so, the Stoic doesn't avoid fear, he studies it, he lets it speak, and then does what must be done. He walks into it not with arrogance, but with discipline and clarity. We must stop glamorizing comfort and safety. They do not lead to greatness. They lead to stagnation, to softness, to regret. Real fulfillment is reserved for those who risk, who face the unknown, who take the leap even when their legs shake. That is courage. That is the Stoic way. So the next time fear arises, do not ask, "How can I get rid of this?" Ask instead, "What does this fear require of me?" Then act. One small, bold step at a time. Do not wait for the fear to vanish. Let it ride with you, but never let it steer. You are not here to live safely. You are here to live boldly, because in the end, courage is not the absence of fear. It is your answer to fear. It is your stand in the face of uncertainty. It is the Stoics' reply to chaos. I will move forward not because I am unafraid, but because I refuse to be ruled by fear. Voluntary discomfort builds inner fortitude. The Stoics understood a truth that most people run from. If you want to be strong, you must train in discomfort and not wait for life to force it on you. There's a difference between being hardened by pain and being prepared for it. The Stoic chooses the hard path, not because he enjoys pain, but because he refuses to be broken by it when it comes. He does not fear adversity, he practices for it. Seneca often fasted, even when food was abundant. Marcus Aurelius slept on the ground while emperor of Rome. Why? Because they knew luxury weakens the mind and comfort breeds fragility. Voluntary discomfort isn't suffering for its own sake, it's preparation. It's resistance training for the soul. It teaches you that you can endure far more than you think, and that your peace is not dependent on soft conditions. Most people beg for ease. They pray for a life without hardship, without stress, without challenge. But that life doesn't build character, it erodes it. The Stoic sees hardship as a mirror. It reflects who you are when stripped of convenience, when the phone is gone, when the heater is off, when the applause fades. In those moments, who are you? The answer is shaped in the discomfort you've trained for. Voluntary discomfort is a rebellion against weakness. It is skipping the meal, walking instead of driving, turning off the noise, facing the silence. It's doing what is difficult when you don't have to, because you understand that the day will come when difficulty won't ask your permission. It will simply arrive, and when it does, you will be ready, not because you hoped for ease, but because you trained in fire. Do not confuse comfort with peace. They are not the same. Peace is earned through strength, and strength is built through discomfort. There is no shortcut. There is no pill, only exposure, repetition, and a willingness to suffer without complaint. The Stoic does not run from the cold. He walks into it and learns to breathe. Not to prove anything, but to remember who he truly is beneath all the layers of ease. Each time you embrace discomfort, you weaken your dependency. You take back control from cravings, emotions, and habits. You say, I will not be a slave to pleasure. I will not be owned by comfort. That single decision puts you ahead of most. Because in a world of people chasing softness, you have chosen the furnace, and the furnace forges warriors. You won't always have control over what happens to you, but you always have control over what you expose yourself to. And in that choice lies your freedom. Don't just endure hard moments, create them. Choose them, invite them. Every cold morning you face, every temptation you resist, every impulse you conquer, these are bricks in the fortress of your mind. The modern world tries to convince you that life should be effortless. But the Stoic rejects that lie. He knows that the best things are born from tension, strength, clarity, discipline, resolve. These are not gifted, they are built through daily tests, built through self-imposed struggle, built by standing in discomfort until it becomes familiar. Discomfort is the threshold to transformation. You cannot grow while clinging to ease. You must be willing to let go of the warm, the predictable, the soft, and trade it for the cold, the uncertain, and the real. The real world is harsh. Life will not adjust to you. You must adjust to it. And you do that by training like a warrior even when there's no war. So choose the harder option. Take the path with resistance. Wake up early. Delay the gratification. Discipline the body and command the mind. Because every time you suffer voluntarily, you're building something indestructible, your inner fortress. And when the storm comes, as it always does, you will not break. You will stand because you trained for it. Stop negotiating with your mind. The greatest war you will ever fight is not against the world. It's not against failure or poverty or pain. It's against the voice inside your own head, the one that whispers excuses, delays, fears, and doubts. That voice is a master negotiator. It knows your weaknesses. It speaks your language, and if you listen, it will rob you of your greatness. The Stoic doesn't argue with that voice. He acts in spite of it. Discipline dies in negotiation. Every time you say, 5 more minutes, maybe tomorrow, just this once, you lose a piece of your will. Your mind begins to believe that compromise is acceptable, that commitment is optional. But the Stoic mindset is absolute. When it's time to act, he acts without complaint, without hesitation, without debate. Your mind is a tool, not your master. It was built to serve you, not command you. But most people have reversed this relationship. They wait to feel motivated before they move. But the Stoic flips the script. He moves first, and in movement, motivation is born. You cannot trust your emotions to guide your life. You must rely on principle, reason, and duty. The longer you debate with your mind, the more control you surrender. That's why the Stoic keeps a schedule, follows a code, and adheres to rituals. Not because he is rigid, but because he knows the cost of chaos. He has seen what happens when the mind runs unchecked: comfort, laziness, regret. So he creates order, discipline, and structure, a fortress against internal weakness. When you rise in the morning and the bed is warm, the mind says, sleep a little longer. When the weights are heavy, the mind says, that's enough for today. When failure looms, it whispers, why try? And this is where the Stoic separates himself. He does not engage, he acts. He trains his body to move before the mind can speak. He trains his will to respond faster than fear can object. You must become ruthless with your own excuses. Call them by their name: weakness, comfort, delay, distraction. These are not your allies. They are subtle enemies, and they grow stronger with every compromise. To defeat them, you must stop entertaining them. You must replace hesitation with habit. Replace emotion with action. Negotiation is how mediocrity wins. Excellence requires decisiveness. It requires resolve. The Stoic doesn't hope to feel strong. He builds strength through repeated defiance of the inner voice that says, "Stop." He does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" He commands, "Do it." His actions are dictated not by mood, but by mission. The mind seeks safety, it seeks ease, but your spirit seeks mastery. It seeks challenge, and you must decide which one you will listen to. Because both voices exist within you, but only one will shape your destiny. The Stoic chooses the voice of strength, the voice that doesn't plead for permission but demands progress. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Don't wait for clarity, for inspiration, for a sign. The Stoic knows action precedes clarity. Movement precedes confidence. Discipline precedes achievement. Everything you want lies on the other side of action without negotiation. So when your mind begins to negotiate, cut it off. Move, act, train yourself to do what's necessary, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. This is the Stoic's way to conquer the self, silence the noise, and replace internal doubt with external discipline. Because the moment you stop negotiating with your mind is the moment you begin mastering it. The obstacle is the way most people see obstacles, as roadblocks, as detours from the life they desire. But the Stoic sees differently. He sees the obstacle not as a barrier, but as the path itself. Marcus Aurelius declared it plainly, "What stands in the way becomes the way." This is not metaphor, it is a command. The very thing you resist is the thing you must pursue. The challenge is not stopping you, it is shaping you. Obstacles are not mistakes, they are messages. Life is asking you, are you serious? Do you want what you say you want? Are you willing to endure, adapt, persist? And your answer is found not in your words, but in your actions. The Stoic never complains about difficulty, he thanks it. Because difficulty is proof that you are on a worthy path, a path that demands strength. Every great person has been defined by their obstacles. Not their victories, but their resistance. Their ability to remain composed when everything was crumbling. Their refusal to surrender when quitting would have been easier. Your story is not written in the moments when everything goes right. It's written when everything goes wrong and you rise anyway. What you call a problem may be your greatest teacher. That betrayal, that loss, that rejection, it is refining you, removing what is unnecessary, burning away weakness. It doesn't feel like a gift, but the Stoic knows that the gift is never wrapped in comfort. It comes dressed as adversity, failure, and pain. And when unwrapped through discipline, it reveals strength. You must train your mind to welcome the obstacle, not with joy, but with purpose, with clarity. Ask, what can this teach me? What quality is this developing in me? Is it patience, endurance, strategic thinking, emotional control? The Stoic knows that the obstacle is not meaningless, it is perfectly designed to evolve him, to chisel him into something better. The weak wish for life to get easier. The Stoic trains for the weight to get heavier and for his strength to match it. He doesn't pray for a smooth sea, he trains to master the storm. The obstacle is the storm, and in mastering it, he becomes worthy of the life he's building. The reward is not after the obstacle, it is inside the obstacle. When you stop resisting problems, you begin to transform them. What was once a source of stress becomes a source of pride. What once made you afraid now makes you formidable. You become the kind of person who runs toward resistance not recklessly, but deliberately, because you know that avoidance delays growth and confrontation creates it. Stoicism is not passive acceptance. It is active engagement with reality even when it's unfair, painful, or chaotic. The Stoic meets hardship not with emotion, but with intention. He says, "Here is a test. I did not choose it, but I will meet it with virtue, with courage, with wisdom, with justice." This mindset turns any setback into sacred ground. Your obstacle might be internal fear, doubt, insecurity, or it might be external loss, betrayal, chaos. But the formula is the same. Don't run, don't wait, don't wish it away, step into it. Break it down, use it. This is not about enduring the obstacle. It's about extracting the strength hidden inside it. Not surviving, but evolving, so the next time you face something hard, remember, this is the path, not beside it, not behind it, this is it. There is no other way. Lean into the storm, turn the wall into a ladder. Turn pain into power, because the obstacle is not the enemy. It is the invitation, the test, the trial that, if you accept it, will forge a version of you that cannot be broken. Embrace the void, find peace in uncertainty. We are taught to fear the unknown, to dread uncertainty, to cling tightly to plans, to guarantees, to control. But the Stoic sees clearly life is not made of certainties. It is made of chaos, of unpredictability, of the void. And peace is not found in avoiding this truth. It is found in embracing it, in becoming unmoved by the waves, in learning to float in the dark without fear. Uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your training ground. It's what humbles you, reveals your illusions, and forces you to grow beyond your limits. When you cling to what's predictable, you lose the ability to adapt. But when you release your grip, when you trust your ability to respond rather than control, you find something rare: peace without security. The Stoic is not shocked by sudden loss, change, or challenge. He expects it, prepares for it, not with paranoia, but with presence. The only certainty, Marcus Aurelius wrote, is that nothing is certain. You can resist this truth and suffer, or you can accept it and find freedom. Control is an illusion, but mastery is real, and it begins with letting go. In the void, you discover who you are without your titles, your comforts, your outcomes. You are forced to become solid from within, to build your identity not on things, but on principles, on virtues, on how you show up when nothing is guaranteed. That's where strength lives, in the stillness of self, trust amid the shifting winds. Most people panic in the unknown. They look for someone to blame, some promise to cling to, some guarantee to hold. But the Stoic remains grounded. He understands that he can't control outcomes, but he can control his response. He finds peace not in knowing what comes next, but in knowing who he'll be when it arrives. The void is not empty. It is full of possibilities, full of tests, full of lessons. When you step into the unknown, you stretch. You evolve. You begin to trust your own ability to adapt, to pivot, to survive. That trust is the seed of inner power, and once it's planted, no external storm can uproot it. Do not fear what you cannot predict. Fear being the person who falls apart without a plan. The Stoic prepares not by perfecting the future, but by fortifying the present, by training his mind to endure discomfort, by practicing clarity amid noise, by anchoring himself to reason when the ground begins to shake. Let go of the myth that life should be under your control. It never was. You can shape your character, your effort, your choices, but the outcome belongs to fate. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Wisdom to walk into the fog and say, I don't know what's ahead, but I know who I am. That is Stoic peace. The unknown is not a void to be feared. It is a blank canvas. And courage is the brush. Every step you take into uncertainty is a mark of defiance against fear, a declaration that you refuse to live a life dictated by what-ifs. You are here to move forward not with arrogance, but with awareness, with humility, with strength. So embrace the void. Stand in the dark without trembling. Trust the path even when it disappears beneath your feet. The Stoic does not demand certainty, he demands only this: that he remain virtuous, calm, and steady, whatever may come, because peace is not the absence of uncertainty, it is your ability to remain grounded in its presence. Face fear daily or be owned by it. Forever fear is not a one-time enemy. It doesn't knock once and leave. It returns, it adapts, it waits in new forms: a difficult conversation, a new opportunity, a moment of truth. And unless you make a habit of facing it daily, it will begin to own you quietly, not with force, but with subtle influence. It will decide what you do, where you go, who you become, and worst of all, what you avoid. The Stoic understands that fear is like a muscle. If you don't work it, it grows weak and timid. If you don't face fear today, it multiplies tomorrow. But the one who exposes himself to fear again and again becomes immune to its control. Not because the fear vanishes, but because his spirit has grown too strong to bow before it. Avoidance seems harmless, even rational. But each time you avoid something uncomfortable, a confrontation, a risk, a commitment, you strengthen the chain around your own neck. You confirm to yourself that you're too weak to face it, and that lie begins to shape your reality. The longer you avoid fear, the more you belong to it. Facing fear doesn't require heroism, it requires habit. One small step, one moment of bravery each day. Speak when you want to stay silent. Stand up when you want to disappear. Try when you want to quit. These simple acts build a reservoir of strength drop by drop. That is the Stoics' way, daily defiance of fear's grip. Courage is not forged in rare moments of glory. It's built in the routine, in the unseen battles with hesitation and dread. It's built every morning you rise early when you'd rather sleep. Every time you choose effort over ease. Every time you stare fear in the eye and act anyway. Each decision is a vote for the person you wish to become. If you don't face fear deliberately, it will govern you silently. It won't scream, it will whisper. It will tell you to take the easier job, stay in the toxic relationship, play small. It will tell you to stay in the familiar, even if it's killing you. And you'll think it's wisdom, but it's not. It's fear in disguise. The Stoic faces fear as part of his training. He doesn't wait for courage to appear. He creates it through exposure. He practices standing in discomfort so that fear loses its novelty. He becomes familiar with it, not friendly, but fearless. He learns that fear is not a wall, it is a door, and action is the key. The goal is not to become fearless. The goal is to become undominated. To be able to say, yes, I feel fear, but it doesn't decide my life. That is power. That is freedom. That is what the Stoics chased, not the elimination of emotion, but the ability to rise above it. The ability to live according to virtue, not to reaction. You must ask yourself every day, what fear must I face today to remain free? Then go do it, not perfectly, not without shaking hands, but with commitment. With repetition, with resolve. That is how chains are broken. That is how you reclaim ownership of your soul. Because if you don't face your fear, it will own you. And the cost of that ownership is your freedom, your strength, and your future. But if you choose to face it daily, deliberately, without apology, you will rise. You will grow. You will become something rare in this world. A person who cannot be controlled, because he has mastered the thing that masters most, fear itself.